Oh, but this
He's away, he needs to come in to answer anything.
Councillors, we are now webcasting. Councillors, welcome to our last meeting for 2025. And a reminder that as this meeting is being webcast, those in attendance should refrain from making any defamatory statements. And also a reminder to the gallery that the use of a recording device is a breach of the Code of Meeting Practice, and anyone contravening or attempting to contravene will be expelled from the meeting. Councillors, staff and community members, I would ask that you stand with me in 1 minute silence as I read the names of the known victims of the Bondi Massacre on December 14, and in solidarity with their families, the Jewish community, Mayor Will Nimesh, Waverley Council and the community of Bondi. Among the dead are Boris Tettleroyd, a husband and father. Sophia and Boris Gurman, parents and the hero couple who tried to disarm the Bondi terrorists before the attackers unleashed gunfire at Bondi Beach. Edith Brutman, a cherished friend to many. 10-year-old Matilda, an irreplaceable sister to 6-year-old Summer. Marika Pagani, a beloved grandmother. Peter Maher, a Randwick rugby legend. Tybor Wheatson died shielding his wife. Alex Clakeman, a Holocaust survivor, grandfather to 11, and died shielding his wife. Dan Elkayam from France, a talented member of the Rockdale Illidan Football Club. Rabbi Yaakov Levitin and Rabbi Eli Schlanger, a new father who served at Chabad House in Sydney. And Reuben Morrison, a father and grandfather. Thank you, councillors, staff and community. Our acknowledgement of country, followed by our prayer. Councillors and staff, sorry, may I ask you to rise again? Yass Valley Council recognises the Ngunnawal people, the traditional custodians of the land, water and sky. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and future emerging leaders. We extend our respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who live in the Yass Valley local government area. Let us be still and remember the presence of God. As we commence our meeting, let us together pray for guidance and help. Please join me in the prayer or take this moment for your own reflection. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon this council. Direct and prosper our deliberations to the true welfare of Australia and the people of Yass Valley. Amen. Amen. Councillors, we have full attendance. Fantastic. So we have no apologies. Do we have any declarations of pecuniary interests or special disclosures? Thank you, councillors. Could I have a confirmation of the minutes, please? So moved, Councillor Burgess. Seconded, Councillor Cherry. Any speakers for or against? I'll go back to the vote. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Councillors, I will now rise and present a mayoral minute regarding the terrorist attack that occurred at Bondi Beach on December 14, 2025. The community of Yass Valley stands in solidarity with our Jewish residents, friends and co-workers across the border in the ACT, throughout Australia, and most poignantly, those in the Waverley Council area of Bondi. Yass Valley Council and our community stand united in grief with Waverley Council and the Jewish community following this week's appalling massacre at Bondi Beach. This horrific atrocity is an act of evil, terrorism, and anti-Semitism. Our hearts go out to all those affected, including the brave first responders. We embrace the Jewish community across New South Wales during this time of unimaginable pain. We are all feeling the senselessness of this attack and recognise the deep trauma it has inflicted, especially on generations who have experienced past atrocities. We understand that it will take time to comprehend and come to terms with this week's events. As a nation, we should not allow these criminal acts of two individuals to define who we are. Australia is defined by the courageous actions of the many who put their lives on the line to save others, who ran towards danger to care for the injured, and who supported those in need. Together we reject all forms of anti-Semitism, hate and violence against Australia's Jewish communities. While this horrific event happened in Bondi, its impact is being felt across our entire nation. Yass Valley Council stands in solidarity with those grieving and against these criminal acts. We encourage everyone to reach out to friends, neighbours, congregation members, sporting mates, and those who may be feeling the impacts of these events. Ask if they're okay, and if they're not, take time to sit with them, even in silence, to let them know that they are not alone. We are heartened to hear that members of our Yass Valley community are connected with the Jewish community in Canberra and are extending their support to them over Hanukkah this weekend. Now more than ever, we must draw on our collective strength and compassion for those of faith, God's gift of grace and courage as well. We applaud those who stepped up, from the first responders to those civilians who performed first aid and helped people to safety. Our heartfelt gratitude goes to Ahmed Al-Ahmed, a Sutherland shop owner and father of two, who selflessly put his life on the line to disarm one of the perpetrators, and the new heroes emerging. He undoubtedly saved many more lives. We thank him, and our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family as he recovers. It is only together that we can overcome all forms of hate and ensure every person in our community and our state feels safe. Terrorism fails when we draw on our strengths to ensure people feel more connected to each other, friends, families, congregations, neighbourhoods and communities. This is how we choose to respond to hate and violence, with light, not darkness. This is how we will remain united over the weeks, months and years ahead. I commend to you a motion that we'll put up on the screen now. The Yass Valley Council, 1, acknowledges the massacre that occurred at Bondi on December 14, 2025. 2, offers sincere condolences to the families and loved ones of the victims of the tragedy at Bondi Beach. 3, notes that this tragedy occurred on the first day of Hanukkah, a significant Jewish celebration. 4, notes that this was a deliberate anti-Semitic attack targeting Jewish Australians and attendees at the Hanukkah by the Sea event and has been confirmed by ASIO as a terrorist incident. 5, we unequivocally condemn this act of violence and terrorism. We note that this event is the deadliest mass shooting in Australia since 1996 and has so far claimed the lives of 15 innocent people. We acknowledge the significant impact and distress this event has caused within the Jewish and broader Australian community. We commend the actions of the first responders, police, paramedics, health workers, surf lifesavers, attendees, and members of the public who intervened and whose brave actions saved lives. We extend our support to Waverley Mayor Will Nimesh, Waverley Council, and the Jewish community, and all those affected by these events. We reaffirm that Yass Valley is a place that welcomes people from all cultures, religions, and communities. We acknowledge that Yass Valley Council has marked this tragedy by flying its flags at half-mast as a mark of respect for the victims. That we will share with the community that Yass Valley Council, with the support of the Yass RSL sub-branch, will light the Yass Soldiers Memorial Hall blue tomorrow evening over the Jewish Sabbath and until Monday, demonstrating our solidarity with and support for the Jewish community. And we will share with the community that Yass Valley Council, with the support of the Yass RSL sub-branch and the combined churches of Yass, will hold a candle lighting vigil between 6:45 p.m. and 8 p.m. in the Shrine Foyer of the Yass Soldiers Memorial Hall, Coomer Street, Yass, on Sunday, December 21st, 1 week from this event, inviting the public to pass through the shrine, light a candle, offer prayers, or spend time in quiet reflection. Councillors, I commend this motion to you. Do you have any further speakers for or against this motion? Thank you, councillors. I'll take that as a unanimous acceptance. Could I see a show of hands? Thank you, councillors. The motion is passed. Councillors, we now have the opportunity to pass in globo the following items. I'll read them out, but I just think we can bring all of those items up on screen. Meaning that you may certainly speak to any of these motions if you have a question right now, or if you prefer them to be taken out, please indicate. So our items to pass in globo are 6.3, the development application update for October and November 2025. 6.5, the request to sell 13 Dutton Street Yass going into confidential. The electric vehicle charging stations Craigo Mill Precinct going into confidential. The Yass Water Treatment Plant Upgrade Project Implementation bi-monthly update report. The electricity supply.
Sorry, can you just state
certainly,
the
6.8. 6.8, sorry. Electricity supply. 6.9, the investment and borrowing report. 6.10, the monthly financial report. 6.11, the Chair's annual report, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. 6.12, the review of Audit Risk and Improvement Committee terms of reference. And 6.14, the procurement update. Councillor Flannery.
I would like 6.10, the monthly financial report taken out.
To come back out, okay, not a problem. Okay, councillors, any further items to remove? Councillor Cameron.
6.8 and 6.14.
Any further items to pull out? If I could have a mover for the motion to include in globo 6.3, 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 6.9, 6.11 and 6.12. So moved, Councillor Flannery. Seconded, Councillor Carter. I will give the opportunity for the mover to speak. And the seconder. Do we have any questions on those items, councillors? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour of moving those in globo? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Okay, councillors, we're going to move to the planning items. 6.1, Parkwood border arrangements. Okay, Councillor Cherry is fast off the mark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the following motion, if I may. Chloe or Katie, you're good. And for those that can't see the board, I'll read it out. That, note 1, council note the long-term financial modelling undertaken by AEC Group, which demonstrates that retaining Parkwood within the Yass Valley Council local government area delivers a net financial benefit to council when supported by appropriate funding mechanisms. Point 2, Parkwood remain within the Yass Valley Council local government area. Point 3, the Mayor and CEO write to the New South Wales and ACT governments advising of council's official position to retain Parkwood within the Yass Valley Council local government area. And point 4, council seeks to maintain a level of services to Parkwood commensurate with community expectations to be funded through a Parkwood-specific special rate variation pending IPART or ministerial approval without reliance on general rate revenue and without broader financial impact on existing Yass Valley ratepayers. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Councillor Cherry. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Councillor Carter. Councillor Cherry, you now have the floor to speak for the motion.
With pleasure, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I rise to speak in support of this motion. But before I do, I'd like to acknowledge the significant volume of community feedback that I have received on this issue. I reviewed all correspondence that has been sent to me by multiple means, and I thank the Yass Valley residents for their effort and depth of analysis that has gone into many of those submissions. Even where my views differ from theirs, the level of engagement reflects a sound understanding that this is a very important and strategic decision. And that is precisely the point, Madam Mayor. This decision is one of the most consequential strategic choices this elected body will make that will shape the future of the Yass Valley. Parkwood is not marginal growth. At full build, it represents thousands of new residents, extensive infrastructure, and a fundamental change in the scale and demographics of our LGA. The decision we make tonight will undoubtedly shape Council's financial sustainability, service delivery obligations, and governance responsibilities for decades to come. The first principle that must guide us is that Yass Valley Council must not relinquish land, responsibility, or long-term revenue simply because projected growth introduces complexity. Growth must be managed responsibly, not deferred or outsourced. That is why the financial modelling in the business papers is so important. The AEC analysis is a detailed, service-by-service assessment built on real asset transfers, life cycle costs, and identified risks. This comprehensive analysis tells us clearly that when Parkwood remains within the Yass Valley LGA, and when it is supported by appropriate funding mechanisms, it delivers a long-term financial benefit to Council. Equally important, the modelling is very clear about the challenges identified. Parkwood will come to a higher service expectation, and that is reasonable given the scale and design of this development. But those expectations must be funded appropriately and fairly. Existing Yass Valley ratepayers should not expect to subsidise the cost of delivering Canberra-level services to a new growth precinct. That is why I'm certain that a Parkwood special rate variation is not an optional extra. It is fundamental to our financial viability. The modelling shows that without a dedicated funding mechanism, early stages of development will place pressure on Council's financial position. With a Parkwood only SRV in place, those impacts are contained, and over time Parkwood becomes cash and operating surplus positive, even after allowing for asset renewals and infrastructure. That, my fellow councillors, is responsible governance, and it is entirely consistent with the obligation we all accepted when we took our oath or affirmation of office, which is to undertake the responsibility of our role as councillors in the best interests of the Yass Valley Council LGA. Let me just skip forward to a couple more quizzes there. But in conclusion, my fellow councillors, this motion is not about redrawing lines on a map. It's about whether Yass Valley Council is prepared to plan for its future with discipline, strategic foresight, and fairness to both current and future residents. I firmly believe that this motion strikes that balance, and I commend it to the retain. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Councillor Cherry. I'll now open the floor to our seconder, Councillor Carter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I mean, this is one of those more and perhaps most significant decisions that will be brought before this particular chamber. I do want to make, I suppose, spend a moment or two just suggesting that we need to understand what these papers are telling us. And in particular, I think it's important to recognise that there aren't a series of alternatives out there. So there's a lot of rumour, discussion, conversation out in and amongst community members, suggesting that there are other alternative options available to us, including long-term repayments from the ACT government to us over time, the building of water pipelines, etc., etc. None of those are on the table, and I think that's really important that people realise that there wasn't, in essence, an established council position with respect to what we should do with Parkwood, that we need to think about what the implications of that are, and I think Councillor Chari has outlined a number of those for us already. But what is within this is a pathway to a potential set of growth for us. And we've already heard the chair of the ARIC committee suggesting that one of the challenges for us is that we do have a small rate base. This would significantly increase that rate base. It would pose some other challenges potentially around questions like elections and other bits and pieces, but that's dealt with in many spaces and is quite common in a number of jurisdictions as well. What it would do is give us at least a new income stream. And income is a really important, or revenue streams are really important ways to channel growth more generally. And so what we do see within that, through the different mechanisms established within the report, and a very careful risk analysis. I'm not usually in favour of consultant reports. They annoy me most of the time, partly because I've written them probably. I actually do commend the work of this particular report by the AEC, which perhaps needs to change its name, but that's a different question. What is very good about this particular report is that it does very carefully work through the different risk questions that are before council. It isn't suggesting a full answer to all of those, but it's laying out the different choices that need to be made over time. And in that sense, it's a very careful and quite responsible report. I do commend AEC for the work they've done in this particular report and the clarity that's been provided within the information presented to us. I do want to opine the fact that we've had to make the decision quite quickly. It would have been good, I expect, and most of our fellow councillors, I expect, would follow the thought pattern here to have had more time to consider some of the implications that do flow out of this. But on the basis of the information presented to us, there is an exciting opportunity for us to lead to a sustainable growth for the valley over significant periods of time. And that, I think, is something that we have to consider incredibly seriously in our roles as councillors. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. Councillors, I just make you aware that we do actually have the consultant online with us right now. If you have any further questions, or if you would like an expansion of some of the points raised by our member and seconder, that opportunity is here right now. I might actually kick off, if I could, with a question to unpack. I guess for a council in our financial position, the idea of growing cumulative cash surplus is exciting, but given the rollout of the neighbourhoods, could you give us an idea of like from when would council actually be seeing a cash positive position?
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you very much. And the follow-up question to our CEO or the director, whoever you want to throw to, given that Neighbourhood 6 looks like it comes online in 2028, what is the actual bankable moment for council with rates coming in from that point? So not just the subdivision, but the actual residents.
I'll defer to the director.
Yes.
Through you, Madam Mayor. It's a interesting question. It's quite hard to establish exactly when the development will have the first houses on the ground because there's a lot of externalities at play there. However, a rough estimate would be we'll be seeing the first houses getting constructed 31, 32.
If there was a delay, and I'm not sure if this is a question for the consultant or for yourself, if there was a delay, are there any risks to council?
In essence, no, because you're dealing with the existing situation, which is open field.
Councillor Flannery.
Do I need to stand?
Oh yes, you do. Yes.
I just had two questions. I'm not quite sure who they're to, but as I understand, so through you, Madam Mayor, as I understand, the council, yes, Valley Council will receive two lots of funding, one through developer contributions and the other through rates. Does the council have a strategy or a policy on developer contributions and when they're received, or is it legislated? Because just when I was having a look through some council papers of previous years, they seem to come in at different times for different reasons, some at the end, some at the beginning and then at the end. What's the is it a discussion that we have on the hop, or is it legislated?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Flannery. I'll now direct it to our CEO.
And I'll direct it to a very experienced strategic planner.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Once again, it depends. It's a very planner answer, and I apologise for that. But it really depends on whether there is a prepared contributions plan or whether we go down the path of preparing a separate voluntary planning agreement with the developer to discuss that. However, if it is straight down the typical developer contribution plan line, there are legislatively mandated times in which money comes in through contributions.
Follow up, so the council can ask for a developer contribution plan to be developed, or is that fall to your remit? I just wanted to understand how we know when money will be coming in for it.
Through Madam Mayor, we are in the process of discussions with the developer regarding that preparation of the developer contribution plan. That is an ongoing conversation. Obviously, the decision tonight has a big impact on the process we follow from here on in, but it is a conversation that has started, and that will be a plan that is brought back to council.
Okay, can I do one more question? I just noticed on page, so it was highlighted. Page 31 of 77, it says that the council will be responsible for borrowing approximately 8.2 million in 2032, and for the depot and 9.4 million in 2042 for the multi-purpose community centre. Why is council building those assets rather than the developer?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Flannery. I'll direct it in quick succession through the CEO to the director.
Through you, Madam Mayor. A facility such as a depot cannot be funded typically through developer contributions because it is an operational item of council. Whereas the multi-purpose community centre can be something which is a discussion because it is for the benefit of the community. Because we don't have a contributions plan in place, we can't specify where that money is coming from there, but it can be something that forms part of the conversation around what a development contribution plan looks like. The depot operational is off the table in that space.
Okay, so just to clarify, that's not completely set. That could be part of a development. Council doesn't necessarily need to borrow that money, because 2032, if we haven't got houses coming in, seems pretty. We don't have houses, for a little while until 2031. It's a big impost for 9 million for a community centre if we're not bringing in those rates.
I just might give the opportunity for our CEO to ask a further question of the consultant.
Graham, I was just wondering if you had any burning information you wanted to provide with that?
Councillors, do we have any further speakers for or against? I guess at this point then, I'd just like to commend the motion before you. I think we have some work to do to convince the Premier that he should sign off on this instead of making us jump through many of the hoops that are associated with a SRV to ensure that the rates deliver what this community would expect on a border. But I'm very excited about the prospect of close to 6,000 homes becoming part of Yass Valley. It is an exciting prospect. That's a lot of families. It's a lot of soccer teams that can go up against Yass and Murray Bateman combined. It's approximately 13,000 community members. And the diversity in what we're seeing already rolling out in the Gingerry area and the vibrancy that that's bringing to that community. As a member of the Conservation Trust, as Council's delegate on that, as a director, there are ranges that speak multiple languages because they're being sourced from the community that's growing there. And that's exciting. It strengthens our community to have diversity. We're in the middle of a housing crisis, so I expect that the conversation about infrastructure to bring not only this project online, but also potentially further into Yass Valley, such as Murray Bateman, the need for water. If we can combine that conversation then that's potentially 10,000 homes, not just 6,000. So that's an exciting opportunity for us to build on where our settlement strategy has already told us that we need to go. And we'll be reviewing that imminently. So I'm looking forward to the potential conversations with the Premier and the Minister for Planning going forward. So I commend the motion to you, councillors. Councillor Chang, would you like to comment? Let's put that to the vote. All those in favour? Let's get a build.
Let's get it done.
That's unanimous. We're getting t-shirts.
Thank you very much for your attendance, Graham, and appreciate the report that you've written as well. Thank you very much.
Councillors, we're now moving on to item 6.2, the planning proposal for 16 to 18 Cusack Place, post-exhibition. We have a recommendation before us that it be adopted.
I'll move as recommended.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Seconder? Councillor Rothwell. And that would allow the Environmental Plan 2013 to be amended by Council as the local plan making authority. Speaker 4, Councillor McGrath.
Madam Mayor, this has been a relatively long and complex process to bring it before council tonight. We've had a number of concerns expressed by the submissions. I think they've been adequately responded to by council staff. And any issues like the one that was discussed tonight can be up to finding an easement through private property. That's something for the applicant to resolve in the next stage. So I commend the motion.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Councillor Rothwell.
What do you say?
Councillor Cameron.
Sorry.
It's too good.
Madam Mayor, I've just asked a general question because it raises the question of again amending the LEP, which is well out of date in a sense that it's 2013. And I have been assured that it's tinkered with and every now and again it's improved, but it is well out of date. So through you, I'd like to ask the Planning and Environment Director, what's the timetable for reviewing and perhaps the order that's going to be done of the reviewing the LEP, and I know the Mayor mentioned the settlement strategy soon, and the DCP, which after 18 months was supposed to be reviewed as well. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor. The settlement strategy is the first cab off the rank. That is a very important process. That will be out for request for quotation early in the new year. The DCP will have a housekeeping review being undertaken in 2026. That's next year, isn't it? Yes, 2026 will be the housekeeping review of the DCP. The principal LEP review will be a much more complex and in-depth process. We really need to get our strategic planning documents in place properly before that happens, because those strategic planning documents are really going to set the tone for how that document looks. So I would estimate that at the earliest point in time of reviewing the principal LEP for the project to commence, bearing in mind it's generally a 24 to 36 month project, we'd be looking at 28, 29 at the very earliest to commence that work.
And how long would the settlement strategy take to do?
This, through Madam Mayor, the settlement strategy is a much more, I won't say straightforward, but it is a shorter period of time because there's less legislative processes involved. So I would say, and I'm sure this will potentially come back to bite me in a future council meeting, that'll be about a 12 to 16 month project.
Starting when?
That will be we are going out for a request for quotation early next year, so looking to appoint someone mid 2026.
Thank you, Derek Daniel. Do we have any speakers against the motion?
Not against the motion, but just a point of clarification. I just noticed in the financial implications, it says fees and charges and that there's staff resources. But one thing I was a bit interested in is how many lots? I know this is looking at the changes, it's not the development application itself. I just was wondering how many lots are included in this, and isn't there an adjacent development to this one? So I just was kind of curious as to how many more houses we're putting into that area.
Right.
And so this one is 300 proposed, and then there's another similar one in that area, or is there only just one?
I'll have to take that notice and look into that, sorry, through you,
Okay.
Madam Mayor, have to take that on notice and get back to you on that one.
Thank you.
I'm pulling out the 9 week in the job card.
Pardon?
I'm pulling out 9 weeks in the job card for that question,
Right.
apologies on that.
My word.
Well, I guess my question was around the financial implications, so it would be good to know that there is a financial implication from council in that there's proposed to be 300 houses, so that does look to increase our rate base.
Councillor Campbell, speaking for or against?
Yes. Yeah, look, I'd like to speak against this particular motion. I have some concerns with this proposal, and having been one of 2 councillors who voted against the gateway determination initially, I don't believe our concerns have been addressed fully. I think there's a few issues here. I think we already have a lot of development already postulated in Yes. We've got the R, we've got Hamilton Rise, which doesn't seem to have risen yet. And maybe I won't say what I was going to say. But we have a lot of development, and I think in the settlement, I think I read earlier on, a couple of years ago, that I think Cusack Place was initially thinking about 500 lots. So 300 lots is better than 500, but it's a big advance on the 13 lots that were originally in that particular area. There are concerns with flooding, and I thank the speaker before telling us that some of those issues have been resolved. So we've got concerns with flooding, sewage disposal, as well as the topography of the land, let alone the easement of the electricity lines going through as well. And we've got an answer that engineering standards will sort of basically overcome any problems that we have. I'm not positive that that's quite good enough in my mind. I think the other issue about the whole issue of development within Yes to some extent is the demand and supply for water. And we talk about water quite a lot. And we've been very lucky in the last few years that the dam's fairly full of water mainly, a fair amount of sand I believe as well, which we might have to think about at some stage. But there's always the possibility of drought. I remember not that long ago looking at an infill proposal in North Yass when the then Planning and Environment Director was concerned that that was going to have an impact on water because we were putting in another 5 extra residences. I wonder how she'd be thinking about going from 13 to 300 in this particular development. So water is a crucial issue, and not just in quality but in quantity. We still are relying, even with Parkwood, perhaps with North Murray Bateman, access to Canberra water. I'm not sure whether that will ever happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Just coming off the back of your comments, I might ask a question through the CEO to the Director of Infrastructure regarding Cusack Place. The allotment of water has already been allocated for Cusack Place, correct?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, it has been included in our future model.
Do I
Can I
have
ask a
a...
follow-up question about that? Because just to disclose, I used to live in Cusack Place, but we always have problems with water pressure there, so is there augmentation issues planned?
Through Madam Mayor, that have to be part of the development if there's water issue, water pressure issues.
Do I have a further speaker for? I'd just like to unpack, because the speaker that was going to speak in open forum who was unable to attend was very much focused on the potential flooding issues. And I know their concerns for this area. I'd just like to draw out that in the report, it states that post-development flows are to be equivalent to or better than pre-development flows. Flood modelling with mitigation measures is required to demonstrate this requirement, and this will be required at the DA stage. Augmentation of infrastructure to service the requirements of the development is to be at the developer's cost. And yeah, I just wanted to bring that out just in case they are watching at home. So that is a bar that the developer will need to meet before they can potentially get approval for the actual building. If there's any need for clarification? No? Okay, terrific, all right. So if there's no further speakers for or against, I will allow we'll now go to the mover, Councillor McGrath, if you so choose.
I'm happy to make the motion.
Councillors, let's put this one that's taken a long while to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Butler, Councillor McGrath, Councillor Carter, Councillor Cherry, Councillor Jones, Councillor Burgess, Councillor Rothwell. Those against? Councillor Cameron and Councillor Flannery. The motion is passed. Now moving on to item 6.4, the draft Yass Valley Cemeteries Management Plan and Master Plan. Councillors, we have a recommendation before us that we adopt the draft Yass Valley Cemeteries Management Plan and Master Plans as amended to reflect submissions, and Council adopts the draft memento policy and the draft memorial policy. I'm just wondering if I can just get some advice first on any fundamental changes if we change it to the Yass Valley Bush Cemeteries Management Plan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, I don't think there'd be any implications with that. We do have bush cemeteries as part of our 7 cemeteries. Not all of them are bush cemeteries, no.
In this plan?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so perhaps we should Yass Valley Cemeteries and Bush Cemeteries Management Plan, would that be suitable? Councillors, do we have a mover for that motion? Thank you, Councillor Flannery. Seconder? Thank you, Councillor Burgess. Okay, Councillor Flannery, you have the floor.
I applaud the work that's been done to get a management plan and a consultant in, and I also applaud the work of the people that spoke tonight, Jackie Stolt and Annika Myers. These places are special places both for environmental heritage, and when we're down to 1 to 2% in our box grass woodlands, it's pretty critical. Although I am speaking for the motion, I really would like, through you, Madam Mayor, to ensure that we focus on having management plans for them, and that this motion fully covers those management plans so that we can get some kind of security for the people that go there, that they're managed in line with their expectations.
Councillor Flannery, I quite agree. If I could just ask, through the CEO to the Director, so some of the items that are coming up during the submissions and certainly at our open forum focused on the one extreme the need to manage the biological diversity there, and on the next actually maintain them for the purpose of what we need to use them for cemeteries, and certainly the need at Gundaroo to I guess properly manage some of the sensitivities of that area, where grave dirt is being placed, and a plan forward to clean it up. It sounds like it's not in great shape.
So through you, Madam Mayor, so there is an engagement of an environmental consultant included in the procurement of these plans. They will be doing that body of work in the not too distant future. That will align with what's in our management plans to make sure that our maintenance aligns with EPZs, environmental protection zones. We have received a lot of submissions. We've had the 13 submissions with a lot of great ideas. We have implemented as many of those as possible within the constraints of each of the sites. Gundaroo, for example, has close to 70% protected environmental protection zones, which makes it difficult to implement roads and the like in those areas. So once this consultant does come in and provides us this additional information, some of these maintenance plans will be amended to suit that, and it is mentioned in the management plans already.
Given the issues that Councillor Burgess has informed us that when there's large funerals, people are standing in long grass and at open forum, also that people were unable to successfully access gravesites. Is there an argument that we can put forward that while there is biodiversity on site, the purpose of the cemeteries should take precedence, noting that there are other areas that tick the box on the biodiversity on the site already?
Through you, Madam Mayor, that's something we can definitely work through with the environmental consultant. We would have to request to destroy some of these areas, obviously, if that is what we want to do to gain access to some of these extra areas. If you do look at the Gundaroo Cemetery Master Plan, it is heavily zoned environmental protection area, so we would have to go through that process to be able to achieve that.
Okay. I think as a functioning cemetery, we have an obligation to the community to make it a safe space to be in. Yeah. Thank you for your commentary. Do you have any speakers against the motion? Do we have further speakers for the motion? Councillor Burgess.
Just like to say, I don't like to be called a bush cemetery because all my family's in there and all my relations and everything's in that country, so I've been there all my life. And down in the corner, near the road, the paupers are all buried. No one, they're not marked, but they're down in the corner where they used to bury the paupers one time. And another thing, they've got all this bloody native grass out on the common, there's 80 acres of it there, they've got. And we have to put up with this in the cemetery all around, real close, but the people all stand in it. And I don't agree with it. I'm a farmer all my life. We've got native grass on our places, where they've never been suited, but the common, and they say it's never been suited, but it has. My father was in charge of it for years and years, and it's all been suited and that before. I can remember that. And there's weeds in this cemetery, there's serrated tussocks, there's John's wood, all around in it everywhere. And there's a mess at the gate where the dirt's all dumped and all the trees are laying across the fence and that. I just like to get it cleaned up. The Rennie Lees was buried there the other day. She was great on this cemetery. She used to be at the council all the time to clean the Gunning Council before the Yass took over, and then Yass. But she's passed away now, but the family's still all there.
I could ask a further question of the director then. If a cemetery is labelled a bush cemetery, does any of the funding that it might get from a grant actually help with the maintenance of the cemetery items itself, or is it only the biological diversity on the site?
Through you, Madam Mayor, most of the grants you can get for that is generally for the biodiversity of the site. Depending on the grant type and what it's available for, there are many times we'd be looking at what is it.
Okay. Just hoping we could have a 6 one way and half a dozen the other, but apparently not. Just checking. Councillor Flannery.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the Director of Planning. Sorry, I can't read infrastructure. How could you give me some assurance that say Jackie's work, the jewels in the landscape, will be included with the environmental person that's coming and help? That then, what assurance does the community have that the consultant that's coming in is going to talk to some of our experts? That I do believe that we can deliver both outcomes, that we manage cemeteries in a way that's expected in some ways, so that there's access to graves, people can stand there and not feel worried, but also that some of the biodiversity around it is protected. And I look at the motion and think, is that enough, or is there something that we need that gives the community more assurance?
Through you, Madam Mayor, so in the management plan itself, it does detail what our maintenance obligations are. It does also detail that the environmental consultant is going to be engaged, and information is provided by that consultant will guide us on what our maintenance responsibilities are, and how often we do that, and where we can do it in relation to the EPZs. So it really is a balancing act. So we've got environmental conservation we need to protect. We've also got an operational cemetery that we also need to operate from as well. With the new legislation that came in 2022, we need to have these management plans and the master plans to ensure that we're maintaining them to a certain standard.
Yep.
But also protecting the environmental conservation that we understand on those sites as well.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Certainly, Councillor Carter.
Are we entirely confident, I think it's through you, Madam Mayor, to the Director of Construction Assets, are we entirely confident that the plans the maps and ideas that we have around our cemeteries in the region are accurately reflective of what's on the ground, given the conversations that we just heard this evening? Because the concern for me would be if we go out to the YVC as an environmental consultant, that actually we're consulting. We're bringing someone to tell us what to do, but the figures, the information in front of us aren't as accurate as they could be.
Through Madam Mayor, so we are quite confident that the information we have is accurate. We are about to go through an additional process of a cemeteries management system, which will involve a full GIS, a full survey of all of our cemeteries, and making that available on a GIS platform. So any graves that if we aren't aware of them all at the moment, we soon will be. And then anything we do pick up as part of that secondary process will be implemented and brought into the management plans as we go.
So, if I could ask a follow-up question, what Councillor Burgess raised about unmarked graves, will the GIS pick that up?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, the plan is for that. We'll go through all of our records, we'll provide them to the consultant. We're currently going through the procurement process at the moment. They'll have all the information we have, they'll do ground radar, they'll do the whole lot to make sure that anything that is on site will be picked up and identified as part of that process.
That's a follow-up question, is the order wrong here though, potentially? Like, would you not want to have the accurate information before you go and get your environmental consultant?
Through Madam Mayor, so the information we have on record is the best that we've currently got. Us moving to a digital platform is the next step, next chance we have of doing this extra and over of what we've currently got on record.
A follow-up question from Councillor Burgess or comment?
Yeah, well, I went to the council a while ago, I was trying to find out where the vouchers was buried, I know where they are, but council's got no record of it. So how are they going to find them? I know where nearly everybody's buried in that cemetery, I've been there, found that cemetery all my life. I know where they are. The lady used to be there, she told me, an older person's passed away, just told me where everybody's buried. There's one little baby buried at the end of one grave in the end. Will they find that? No, because they will never go look at that.
So it sounds like an opportunity for a ground truth in with residents in the know could be compliant with the procurement of the consultant. Okay, thank you. Expect a call. Yes? Okay, alright. Councillors, do we have any further speakers for or against the motion? Otherwise I'll give the opportunity for Councillor Flannery to close. Yep, all right. Thank you, councillors. Sounds like a work in progress. Good luck. Let's put this one to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to item 6.8, electricity supply. We have a motion before us which permits us to move this into confidential as it is related to commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it, and discussion of the matter in an open meeting would be on balance contrary to the public interest. Do I have a mover to put that one into confidential? So moved Councillor Carter, seconded Councillor McGrath. speaking for the motion? Do I have a speaker against the motion? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I commend Council on instigating an energy and net zero review, and this group purchase of electricity certainly follows a discussion undertaken in 2023 by the Sustainability Advisory Committee. And I'm sure as this review continues, more ideas from that body will increasingly come forward to this council. In the past, and I was told not to talk about the past, in the past, council, we did seem to creep into confidentiality by stealth, that time and time again there was things put into confidentiality, and I really didn't have a good enough reason explained to us about why it was going in. And I thought a lot of the answers were quite false, and we had some really interesting situations where in the one document, in different parts of the paper, different reasons were given for why we were going into confidentiality. And when I asked why this was the case and which one was going to be chosen as the reason, I was told to pick one for myself, and I said that wasn't quite my thing. So getting to the point of the...
Thank you, Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, I got the hint, Madam Mayor. Look, I think there's strong interest from the community in how we are attempting to reduce costs, especially anything that has ongoing cost savings. So I think there's a strong interest there. There's also a strong interest from the community in what we are doing to reduce emissions and what efforts are being made in regard to climate change. I think we need to be more and more transparent in what we're doing, and I looked at it, and you know, the Crojo has been doing this, this is the third time they're going to be doing it. They've done it, so therefore they've done it for the last 5 or 6 years. I think it's well clear what they're doing, and I don't think there's anything commercially in confidence that we're going to be revealing by this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron, and I look forward to your extended comments when this appears in the minutes of the next meeting, where you can expand on those thoughts. I might just actually ask the CEO to make a comment.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, so this is placed in confidential, it's a precursor to a tender. It just as a matter of correction, it's not Crojo that's gone out 3 times, it is the body of the, Southern Sydney Regional Organisation of Councils that have done. We've been invited to participate. In order to do so, we've confirmed with them that it needed to be a confidential report.
Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Any further speakers against? Let's put that to the vote. All those in favour of moving this into confidential? Councillors Butler, McGrath, Carter, Charry, Jones, Burgess, Rothwell and Flannery. Those against? Councillor Cameron? The motion is passed. Now moving on to the monthly financial report. So move Councillor Flannery.
Yes, thank you for the report.
Hold on, I just need a second.
Sorry.
All right, Councillor Carter. You have the floor, Councillor Flannery.
Thank you. Thank you for the preparation of the information. I just, following up from a question in last month's meeting about rates that have not yet been paid or debts. I was looking through this and I couldn't see where the debts were for rates that haven't been collected. And if in the monthly report, whether we could spell out whether we were actually doing anything towards collecting those debts, or if there are long-term debts that we were unlikely to ever recover. I just thought it would be good for the community to understand the efforts that council is going to retain. You know, if you're running a small business, you need to know where your debts are and what you've done about it.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery. I'll just, I guess, guide that question through the CEO to our Director of Community and Corporate, or would you like to go straight to the
Through you, Madam Mayor. We have recently, it is not identified clearly in here exactly the amount of money. We have recently gone out to the community to encourage them to pay back the money that's outstanding. We're also undertaking a review of debtors so that we can chase up outstanding monies there. I think we can take that on notice and maybe create a new report. But I'll talk to the CFO about how we can articulate that as part of this report in future.
Further question, Councillor Flannery?
Yes, I would like to see that the report is amended if possible. It doesn't have to be by next month, but if possible, to show debtors and have that as a transparent line item. And if we were actually going to recover, or if that would be if we're not able to recover, if we're writing that off.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery. I'll just get the director to respond.
Yeah, I think we'll look into that for the
I know
next
when I
meeting.
have to go like.
Yeah, great. Dancing, but I think it's important to know that this has sort of been a gap in our process for a really long time. And so we've just started a conversation with people, so that we'll plan out a process of recovery over the next 6 months. So we'll include that in the report.
Thank you.
No problem.
That's a good question, Madam Mayor, please.
Certainly, Councillor Carter.
I suppose it's 2 questions, so I'll ask one at a time. So I suppose the first question is just actually about the financial position with respect to the expenditure on Crago. And so I suppose it's through you, Madam Mayor, to the Chief Financial Officer. Can you, I see we've now upped our take of our amount of money to upwards of $30 million now. Are you able to explain to us what our future financial commitments will be from now until project completion in terms of what we still are required to draw down to be able to satisfy the building project?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, helpful for me to answer that question?
Absolutely, and as long as you have the information there, otherwise that one's a notice.
Yeah, so we did adjust the budget for Crago Mill by $10 million at QBR1 as part of the decision of council. So it's sort of estimated to be, and I can get more accurate figures for you, but it's estimated to be up to 39 million that will bring the project to completion, which is stage 1 plus the other elements that we've agreed. We have drawn down 30 million, so we'll draw up to that 39 million as we progress the project towards the end of the financial year.
Just a follow-up question, because I think we're going to ask by members of the community, and I suspect it is to the Director of Infrastructure and Assets. Do we have an open date plan? Do we actually know when we can move into the thing?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the current move-in date has been scheduled for the 28th of January, but that is still a little bit up in the air, so I'd be assuming we're looking at mid-February at this point in time. There is a site visit tomorrow for the councillors in the morning, so we'll be able to get inside and have a look. Yeah, but at this point in time, it's late January at best, probably most likely mid-February.
Thank you.
Councillors, do you have any further speakers for or against the item? I'll give the opportunity for Councillor Flannery to close.
Yes, I would just like to close by requesting, and I don't know if this needs an amendment, that the future financial reports do show debtors. And so I guess if this report shows that we're noting it, but if the future financial reports could show debtors in it.
We'll just get to it. Yeah.
If the mover is happy to take that as a staff commitment offline, that's fine. Councillors, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to the item 6.13, the tabling of a petition. Just bear with me. Noting that it was in regard to the future tree management strategy, I believe. We have a petition, and it is recommended that we receive it be received and noted. Can I have a mover, please? For this motion? It's in my not putting into list in Bloomberg. Could I have a mover for the motion, please?
I'll vote it.
Happy to move.
Okay, sorry, okay, so that's councillors Cameron and Flannery. Councillor Cameron, you have the floor.
I've got some questions first of all, if I may ask, because it is related somewhat to the tree management strategy. Through you, Madam Mayor, to the CEO, where are we in the process? I've got three questions. Where are we in the process to hire a consultant? How long will the person work for? When is the report's due date and what council will it come to?
That's four.
I wondered who was listening. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Through you, Madam Mayor, my understanding is that the RFQ or request for quote has now been closed.
Right.
And has been assessed, but I will forward the remainder of the question on to the Director of Planning.
Through you, Madam Mayor. We are in the process of assessing the responses to the request for quotation in this. So we are looking to engage a consultant in the new year to commence the project. We'll be working with them to get a proper stakeholder engagement scope of work identified to make sure that we're in the community talking to the right people, getting the right information as part of that strategy. So that's going to be a core component of that. As we haven't identified a preferred consultant as yet, it'd be premature for me to say that this is the project scope and the time of work. However, we are aware of the importance of this to the community and will be looking to move it forward as a priority. I think, was that all four of them?
Yes, I think that was a fair attempt, if I could put it that way. And like the opening of the mill, it's a movable date, I think, when things are happening. Okay. Yes, I will speak for a couple of minutes if I can, please. I just wanted to say I think it's excellent that we're getting a tree management strategy. I think this is long overdue. I think we've been going along without really thinking about the importance of trees to the community and also to the environment. So I think it's really good that we're moving towards a tree management strategy and getting the community involved as well. And I think that's very important. My second point was that I hope that we really have significant community consultation, particularly with key stakeholders. I think that will make all the difference. And it's a bit like the cemetery issue. If you can get to the ground, I was going to say to the ground, and not so much to the cemetery perhaps, but if you can get to the people who are really at the base level and can talk to them about the issues, then you're going to have a much better strategy. And then I would also like to say that one of the issues that was brought up by Councillor Flannery about when she was having a question to Ms O'Leary, how do you go forward? But I think that's the crucial issue, that how do you go forward once you've got a strategy? That's a really important question. And, it depends on what comes out of the strategy. But we have had strategies developed and nothing's happened with them, and, to be honest. And I would hate to see that happen. And I thank the CEO for indicating that with the reorganisation chart that was shown the other day, that we are looking to hire someone in this position, someone well qualified, and that I think will make the difference if we can get the person in through the budget. So I think the petition has brought forward the community response that trees are important. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. And just noting our commitment to Parkwood, I look forward to a future motion from you putting an emphasis on the Parkwood DCP of shade and tree management strategy going forward.
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you. It is in the process right now. Councillor Flannery.
When I first moved to Yass some 34 years ago, I came across a former councillor, Councillor Brian O'Connor, and he chaired a landscape committee meeting. And as a young landscape architect, I found it an incredibly valuable process. At that time, we were looking at the highway being subdivided and the entrances to yes, and I was just wondering whether, and I probably should have raised this a couple of meetings ago, as part of the tree management plan and the petition and the, showing the council's commitment to trees, is that we consider reinstating or thinking about having, not just councillors looking at what a consultant brings, but councillors who are part of that consultation and potentially having a tree or an urban forest committee of council.
Councillor Flannery, I can assure you that former councillors such as Michael McManus, who sadly left the council without fulfilling his vision for an urban forest, would commend what you've just said in this room. Councillors,
That's quite funny, given Councillor McManus and I really got on.
I know. Sometimes the worlds collide. Councillors, do we have any further speakers for or against the tabling of the petition?
Yes, I'm absolutely on the same page as Councillor Flannery and the right-haired gentleman in the corner.
You mean the other one?
Do I get to do this today?
Point of order.
Today is no, you couldn't get a better day than today. I really appreciate the importance of shade trees. My problem is that we get a consultant, we come up with a strategy, we employ an horticulturist or an arborist, and we put some exercise. I can't help but reflect on the amount of time and money and consultation with the community that went into the main street strategy, which we now have, which we can't afford, and we haven't replaced a single brick on any of the roundabouts. So it's all very well to have strategies and have employees, but when it comes down to the crunch, you need the dollars and cents, and that's what we need, and that's what we've got to get. And that's why we need to increase our labour base and one or two other entrepreneurial things. I just wanted to make that observation.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. I quite agree.
Am I allowed to say something to Councillor McGrath?
If you could just hold your response for your closing remarks, then no one can contradict you. Councillors, do we have any further speakers against the motion?
Councillor Cameron has the closing remarks.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I was carrying on, Councillor Flannery. You may have the floor.
I recognise, Councillor McGrath, what you're saying about money, but major works programs across Australia, post-war, a whole range of things were done by people volunteering their time to plant trees. Avenues of Honour are a classic example of that. Founding community have raised their money. I believe we need effort and interest and a good comms plan and a committed council. I don't think it's just dollars.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery. If there's no further speakers for or against, I'll allow Councillor Cameron to close.
Councillor Flannery just mentioned bounding in terms of the Avenue of Honour and that sort of thing. I did notice at the last meeting that they are looking at doing a tree planting, a significant tree planting that will be costing something like $20,000. So, the community really is, and I don't mean just Yass and Murrumbateman, but right throughout the valley, are really interested in getting trees going. So it can happen. Councillor McGrath.
Watch it.
Yeah, I can see why you got white hair. You're worried too much.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. We've closed the debate on this item, so we'll now put that to the vote. All those in favour of receiving and noting the petition? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We're moving on to item 6.15, the post-exhibition report on the code.
I think I called out 6.14.
Sorry, you are correct. I forgot to unpack that one. The procurement update. Everyone's still awake. We have an item the summary is that council engaged in a procurement process to clear waste piles from Yass, Murrumbateman and Gundry waste transfer stations, which has resulted in a significant variance from the quote provided by the preferred contractor. And this report seeks to address the process undertaken in line with legislation and council's adopted policies. And the recommendation is to put it into confidential because the advice concerning litigation or advice that would otherwise be privileged from production in legal proceedings on the ground of legal professional privilege and discussion of the matter in an open meeting would be on balance contrary to the public interest. Do I have a mover for the motion to put it into confidential? So moved Councillor Cameron, seconded Councillor Roswell. Councillor Cameron.
I think I thought this one out because I think I wanted to demonstrate that I can vote for things going into confidential if they've got good reason. And in this one, I think the issue of waste, the whole issue of waste is next to water is of the utmost concern of residents across the valley. It's unfortunate that we've engaged and got significant legal advice on this matter, and I think any legal advice that is suggesting that we may at some stage have to take more legal action, whatever that may involve. I think that does need to be definitely confidential, so I support this particular one going into confidentiality.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Do I have any speakers against? Any further speakers for? Let's put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's, I believe, unanimous. Councillor Cameron? Just checking that your hand reflects your
quickly.
comments. Thank you. So that was unanimous. The motion is passed. Okay, now on to item 6:15, the post-exhibition report on the Code of Meeting Practice. I have a motion before us that Council rescinds the live streaming council meetings policy. We note that the draft Code of Meeting Practice was publicly exhibited for 42 days and no submissions were received. And we adopt the Code of Meeting Practice as attached to this report to ensure compliance with the requirement of the Office of Local Government. Do I have a mover? So moved, Councillor McGrath. Seconded, Councillor Carter. Councillor McGrath, would you like to speak to the motion? Any further speakers? No? Okay. Let's put that one to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We have no notice of motion. We have questions with notice. Just get to the right page. Councillor Cameron, would you like to move the adoption of the answers to your questions with notice?
That's a good question. I'll say yes. Spurred on by Councillor Farrar.
Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor. The festive spirit is infecting us already.
Did you say infecting?
Councillor Cameron, yeah.
Look, I just want to just make a bit of a comment about the first statement. I think the idea that I was trying to get in regard to this particular thing was how can we sort of signify that the particular statement was didn't have any evidence to support it. And we got an answer that basically talked about changing somehow censoring the actual video. I think the other way to go about it might be to put at the start of the video that this unsubstantiated statement was made at this particular point, and therefore people needed to be aware of that. So I'll say that about that particular one. So I think that's an issue there that could be looked at as a possible answer to that, rather than messing around with the video. In regard to the waste question, I'm still not quite sure. I presume that in regard to waste, the green waste is being just going into landfill at the moment. No? What's happening with that? I apologise for making that assumption.
Yeah, so through you, Madam Mayor, so we go and get it contracted out to be removed off site, depending on who the contractor is that's successful to remove that.
Yeah.
It'll either be turned into mulch or it'll be used to rehabilitate a site elsewhere.
Thank you.
Do we have any speakers for or against this question? Let's put that to the vote. Oh, sorry, Councillor Cameron, you have the opportunity to vote. Certainly. All right, let's put that to the vote. To note the answers to the questions with notice. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Councillors, that now, oh, sorry. Yes, no, we don't have any minutes and recommendations of council committees. We now move into our confidential matters. And you see the code of meeting practice possibly for the last time, maybe not. But if I could just give the opportunity to anyone in the audience, in the gallery, if they have an objection to any item going into confidential, they have the opportunity to express that now. I'll take that as a no. Confidential. So moved Councillor Burgess and Councillor Cameron. And I apologise now for the opportunity that I give that opportunity to the gallery. Is there anyone? Okay. Councillors, let's put that to the vote then, to put that into confidential. That's unanimous. Thank you to all those watching at home. We will return at the end of our confidential back to the live stream to report back on the results.
Just thought.
Wait,
Oh, no.
we're back.
Go for it, Jasmine.
Okay. Just coming back to our matters. Okay, thank you for rejoining us to hear the results of our confidential items. 10.1, the request to sell 13 Dutton Street, yes. Council has approved lot 9 DP 1099562, otherwise known as 13 Dutton Street, yes, to be disposed of by open market, including auction. We have authorised the Chief Executive Officer to negotiate a sale at the appraisal value or higher. And we have resolved to request that the Chief Executive Officer bring a final offer back to Council for resolution in accordance with section 3771H of the Local Government Act 1993. And we have approved the proceeds of the sale of 13 Dutton Street, yes, being placed in a newly established commercial property development internally restricted fund, the purpose being to facilitate and fund the following: the development of a Yass Valley Council property strategy, undertaking studies and assessments or proposals for commercial development or sale of council land, and activities relating to commercial property development. That motion was passed. Electric vehicle charging stations at Crago Mill Precinct. Council resolved to note that the expression of interest submitted by NRMA to install, operate and maintain electric vehicle charging stations at no cost to council, plus pay council an annual fee per charging station within the Crago Mill Precinct is proposed and is accepted on the basis of a 5-year initial period with an option for an additional 5 years. So that was item 10.2. 10.3, electricity supply. Council resolved that the Chief Executive Officer be delegated authority to join the programme for Energy and Environmental Risk Solutions 3 Extension Tiers 3 with the Southern Sydney Regional Organisation Council SROC. The contract for the provision of electricity for the period of 2027, the 1st of the 1st to the 31st of the 12th, 2030. And Council has supported purchasing 20% of its electricity supply from renewable sources under the PS3 contract. And a procurement update for 10.4. Council has noted the report and has also resolved that the matter be noted for ARIC and that a report be brought back to Council at a future meeting outlining the improvements to the procurement project and contract management framework. Council also resolved that the panel's mayoral minute, that the panel's recommendation with respect to the Chief Executive Officer's performance agreement and endorse it for the 25-26 review period. And that concludes our meeting of December 2025. I thank all councillors here for their service to their community, for your attendance here today, and I look forward to coming back in the new year after you've had a well-earned rest. Thank you all.